is a way to write really big numbers and really small numbers. And it's taken of the form a times 10 to the nth power, where a is a number between 1 and 10. Now notice here when it has the equal to sign, that means it can be 1, okay, can't be 10. And n is any integer. Integer means a positive and negative number, so notice I could have a negative exponent here, and that's okay. Negative exponent just means it's a really, really, really small number. So let's go ahead and look at this. There are 4 different steps that you can follow in order to find scientific notation. The first step is to move the decimal point so that the resulting number is a number between 1 and 10. We call that number A. Second step, we're going to count the spaces that we moved the decimal point. This will be the exponent of 10. Step 3, if the original number is less than 1, the exponent is negative. If the original number is more than 1, the exponent is positive. Okay? So if you didn't quite get these all written down, that's fine. Just leave a space and we'll go back at the end. But we're going to go through these steps. So first of all, we are going to look at 201 million. Okay, so 201 and then 6 zeros if you're writing this down. My decimal is right here. So I'm going to move this decimal, in this case to the left, till I get a number between 1 and 10. So do I have a number between 1 and 10 yet? Yet? Right now? 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 So, my new number is what? 2.01. Okay, now I'm going to do a times 10. And what I'm going to do now is count the spaces I moved to the decimal. So if I look, I moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have to determine if this is a positive 8 or a negative 8. So is the number bigger than 1 to start with? 201 million? Okay, it's bigger than 1, so that's going to be a positive 8. All right, let's look at the next one. Point, yeah.
Isn't it always positive when you go to the left, and it's always negative when you go to
So let's go ahead and look at this next one. 0.0000. So 4 zeros. So a decimal point, 4 zeros, and then 5 and 1. So let's go ahead and move this. Am I between 1 and 10 yet? Where do I have to move it? In between the 5 and the 1. Very good. So my new number is 5.1 times 10. How many times did I move the decimal? 5. Now I need to determine if that's a positive 5 or a negative 5. So is the number bigger than 1 or less than 1? It's less than 1 because it was a 0.00. So this is actually a negative 5. So far, so good? Have you done this before? Okay. All right, then you try this one for me. 68,700,000,000. 68,700,000,000. So what is A?
68.7.
What about this? Okay, 68.7 isn't between 1 and 10. All right, so we actually have to move it one more. 6.87 is between the numbers 1 and 10. Now, if you move the decimal, you should have moved the decimal a total of 10 times, and it should have been a positive 10. Okay, so your number has to be between 1 and 10. All right, on the next one, where am I going to move the decimal?
Between 7
In between the 7 and the 2. Very good. So A is 7.25. How many times did I move it? What?
5.
5, and it should be a negative 5 since it was less than 1 to start with. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite. We're going to be given a number in scientific notation, and we're going to have to translate that so that it doesn't have scientific notation. Now, whenever your exponent is positive, you need to make that a really big number. And so I've got 6.32. I need to make that a really big number. So I'm going to move that decimal 9 times. To make it a really big number, am I going to go to the right or to the left?
Right.
To the right, because that's going to put me like in the millions, things like that. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is my new decimal. Now what I'm going to do is fill in all of those spaces. So here we go. My new number is 6,320,000,000. Well, I take that back. 6,320,000,000. Now the next one says 4 times 10 to the negative 7th. So I'm going to start with the number 4. And I'm going to put a decimal place. What does that negative 7 mean I do?
Go to the left.
Go to the left 7 because I want to make it a small number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my new decimal. I'm just going to now fill in all of those spaces. So if you look, there you go. Questions? Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at what happens when you multiply numbers with scientific notation. Okay, so it says express in both scientific notation and standard form. So I've got 3.5 times 10 to the negative 3rd and 7 times 10 to the 5th. So I'm looking for scientific notation and standard form. So this is what we're going to do. Okay? I am going to multiply 3.5 and 7. So what do you get when you multiply 3.5 times 7?
24.5.
24.5. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the exponents. Now in the exponents, we don't multiply those. I add them, right. So I really get 10 to what power? The second. Now we're just about done, but I noticed that I get 24.5. This isn't between 1 and 10, so I actually have to change this to scientific notation again. So here's the decimal. In order to make that a number between 1 and 10, where do I have to move it? Once to the left. Now, since I've moved it to the left, am I going to add 1 or subtract 1? Add 1. Okay, because it's a number bigger than 1 to start with. Okay, so my new answer will be 2.45 times 10 to what power? The third. Now that is in scientific notation. Now what I need to do is change that to standard form. So to change that to standard form, I'm going to go ahead and move that decimal 3 places. And I get 2,450. All right, let's look at this next one. 6.5 times 10 to the 12th times 8.7 times 10 to the negative 15. First thing I do, 6.5 times 8.7, what do you get? 66 point what? 55. Somebody else get that?
No, 56.
56.
56 point.
56.55. Okay. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and do what with my exponents here? Add them, and I get negative 3. Good. So now we need to change 56.55 so that it's a number between 1 and 10. Where are you going to move the decimal? 1 to the left. I moved it 1, so am I going to add 1 or subtract 1 with my exponent? Add 1 because it was a number bigger than 1 to start with. So I get 5.655 times 10 to the negative second. Now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and write that in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and move the decimal. How many places and where? 2 to the left. Very good. So my new answer is 0.05655. Questions? Alrighty, we're going to look at what that means. (7.8) times 10 to the negative 4th squared. What does it mean when you square something? Multiply it by itself. So basically, this is the easy way to do that. Just write it again. And we're going to solve this problem the exact same way we did the previous problem. So we're going to take the 7.8 times the 7.8. And when I do that, I get 60.84. What am I going to do with my exponents? And I get negative 8. What do I do with the 60.84? Once to the left, and so then I'm going to add 1 here. And so I should get 6.084 times 10 to the negative 7. Now what do I do? Move it to the left 7 spaces. 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is going to be a small number. There you go. Alright, so now we're going to look at division. 2 problems with division. And then we'll call it good for today. 3.066 times 10 to the 8th divided by 7.3 times 10 to the 3rd. We're going to do a lot of the same things, just now with division. So the first step you're going to do is take 3.066 and divide it by 7.3. And what do you get when you do that? 0.42. Now, as we did with multiplication, we went ahead and added exponents. What am I going to do here with the exponents?
Okay.
Subtract them. So I'm going to take 8 minus 3 in this case and get 5. So now I just need to go ahead and write that in scientific notation. So I'm going to want to move this decimal one space to the right. So what do I do then with my exponent? Subtract 1. So my new answer is 4.2 times 10 to the 4th. Now what I need to do is go ahead and move my decimal 4 places. Which way? Right. Okay, so my answer in standard form is 42,000. Good job. Got one more. So squeeze it in the notes. There we go. 2.3958 times 10 to the 3rd divided by 1.9898 times 10 to the 8th. So first thing I do, divide. So 2.3958 divided by 1.98. 1.21. Now what I need to do is what with the exponents? And I get -5. Now I can stop right there because 1.21 is in fact between 1 and 10, so I don't need to change anything. On the next step, all I need to do is now move my decimal 5 places. What direction? Left. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0.000121. Questions? Scientific notation in a nutshell. Here you go. Pages 417 to 418. 20 through 52, the evens.